live, and we're live, guys and gals. Good morning, top of the morning to you, or if you're in London, probably evening. Um, this is gonna be like maybe like a reality check for a lot of people running sites or about to run sites, and it's counterproductive to my business because we help a lot of brand new site owners get started. But it's the reality. It's a hot market at the site level. It's still a hot market, guys. All right, let's just start with that. You hear in the headlines all these stories. Oh, layoff, mass layoff, mass layoff. No, at the sites, I don't know any site that's a real site, not a bus driving around, but like a real site laying off. Do you?
Yeah, you don't see a lot of overstaffed sites, like really, right? Like they almost always need more people. You always need you have too many studies going on rather than too few, generally speaking.
Yeah. Too. I'm turning down
Okay.
studies
I
right
have to
now.
say, laid off without cause. If someone like messes up, then
But
we'll
yeah,
let them
but that's
go. But
fired. Yeah, but I
yeah,
mean, laid off due to like financial reasons, like economic reasons. It's
yep,
like it's not happening at the site level. So fake news right there. Like people are worried, like, oh, is this a good time to get in the industry? Yes, but you got to go to sites. You're not gonna go to Pfizer or IKEA and say, hey, let me intern here. Like, who's gonna do that? You go to a small site like Hightower. Well, Hightower is getting big. That's another
yeah.
podcast.
No, that's okay. You want to come if you want to come make phone calls and pre-screen patients, I'll welcome you.
Nice.
So can they work remote? So like if they live in Illinois, could they come work for you?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah. What if they're just like a LinkedIn loudmouth and needs a little bit of extra money?
Sure. You
What
need
if they live in
need some
London?
pocket
Can they
change.
work for you in London? Think
I
about
mean,
that.
I
You
think
can have
the
24/7.
accent might work well here. I don't know. We'll see.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sun will never set on Hightower Research.
It's
You've
too
got
high.
people up up in the morning, late at night, don't matter with pre-screening. All right, we'll get into growing your sites in another podcast, but this one's like about uh well, it kind of is building, growing, training, having that farm system, retaining, dealing with a hot market at the site level. Like employees get poached regular on the reg. And it's, you know
Mhm.
what, as a business person, like I don't like it, but on the other hand, I do like it because it's a challenge, and somehow I enjoy that, even though I'm going through like kind of semi. I wouldn't call it hell, but like purgatory, because I can't start new studies I want until I get our current studies like stable. What do you guys feel about this?
I mean, it's a mixed. I'd say it's mixed feelings. And I, first of all, I mean, I will say, not to toot my own horn, but I haven't lost any employees, in the almost 6 years that we've started. So I'm going to knock on some wood right now.
What's your
But
secret, man? Like, what's the secret?
yeah, we can go into some of that. But I think, I mean, in some ways, if an employee has an opportunity that I can't provide for them, then I mean, that's great, man. You should go pursue that. And I mean, you can't help but feel at least a little bit good about helping somebody, improve their situation, And if I can't help support them, I've told people before, if you want to leave, you let me know. I will give you the most insane title so that you can get a great job somewhere
Mhm.
else. I'll call you the VP of whatever the hell you want. If that helps you, get paid better down the road.
That would be a good
Um,
title, actually. VP of whatever the hell you want.
because I mean, ultimately, like, no one's going to care about my business as much as me, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I don't expect them to,
Yep.
regardless of their pay. Like we are like have our souls in this, and I'm going to be in it no matter what. But I don't expect that from somebody making a moderate wage. So it's going to happen. It just is what it is. So yeah, it sucks, and I do think it's like people underestimate how much of a pain it is when a coordinator leaves, man, to turn all that
Mhm.
stuff over. And no matter what, the new coordinator is going to be like, oh, whoever did this before sucks. This is terrible. I got to fix it. It's always just a whole terrible domino effect when a coordinator leaves. So it's
That's what
retention
I'm
is
dealing with.
important.
That
Yeah.
transition
So
between.
number one is okay. Clinical sites, and Dan, you said this. They are the starting grounds for professionals. right? So they are always bank on them leaving. Academia has to run into this too, right? You don't get your degree and stick around at that university. You get your degree and you go out in the world and you do stuff. So we always did planned redundancy. It's a little more expensive, but when you get one person leaving, there's another person who knows what the heck is going on, and then at least you can backfill instead of having to do an emergency. But again, planned redundancy is expensive, right?
Yeah.
Imagine on a budget doubling every single line item for coordinator time. Sponsors don't want to do that, so it cuts into your margin. But one of the things we used to do is we used to put the junior coordinators, we'd let them shadow all of the different coordinators with different skill sets. So you had that super duper OCD organized coordinator, and you had that off the cuff coordinator who could work well under pressure. You have all these coordinators with different professional skills. Let the junior shadow every single one of them, work into the backup of all of the trials. And then it's like you got a floater, right? You got one floater can help to do backup for all of the trials. And then someone leaves, you plug them in and you get another floater. So you can't blame these at the bottom and then working their way up the ladder. What would happen if we just stayed coordinators?
Too. When my coordinator told me what offer she got, and they were honest with me, like, hey, I'm looking. And I said, well, you can look. I'll be a reference for you. You're not gonna like it, but if they double your pay, like, you don't have to like it. Like, everyone's got personal issues that they need to address financially, and who am I to say no, you can't go, or like I'm gonna give you bad reference? Nope. I'm actually happy for them too. I resonate with Brad on that. I'm happy for them. Yep. But I go hard on the who took them. Like, I'm already talking to the coordinator that left or that's leaving. Hey, let's do videos. Let's put your LinkedIn. My goal is to get you hired before you start there, like by someone else. I'll like even give you a higher raise. Like, we're playing around, but I'm kind of not playing. Yeah. You feel me? Guys? Like, so, but I'm happy for them. The same thing when they go open a site, which hasn't happened yet at my new site here, but in my old site, that's happened. We've had site owners, people like when you're hiring entry level and you're doing the grooming, you kind of feel like a special bond with them, and they do too. But eventually, like, the name of the game is like either you make them like a director of your clinic or a partner, which I've done also, both of those, or they're gonna end up leaving at some point. Like, it's not forever.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you, and I like to do that. As I was a phlebotomist for so long, and I feel like I was capable of doing more. I just needed somebody to take a chance. I got into clinical research and it worked out. So I would try to pass that on, right? Like, bring in MAs and people who don't have research experience, who are very capable, but they might only be making, $12 an hour, but I can, I can improve on that. But to your point, you feel a little bit of like a connection there, but that goodwill only lasts like for so long, right? If you're only getting, if you get to a certain point and you're like, okay, well, we're growing, but we're still not, I don't have a C-suite full of, people. Like, it's a pretty flat organization, both by design and just by the virtue of how big we are. But I can't make 8 directors positions happen, so like, what can you do?
I forgot, Brad, you had the phlebotomy background. The recent hire, or today we're messaging her, one of the two, phlebotomy tech. So, and like, she interviewed really well. I think she's going to stick around for a while. That's kind of what that leads into the next thing. What do you look for when you hire?
It's almost always, I'll be really honest. My interview process is completely informal. Like, I just want to talk to the person, and like, I don't want, like, don't tell me your strengths and weaknesses. Like, anyone can prepare for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So as much as I, maybe it's not the most professional, but I literally just want to have a conversation. And I feel like you learn so much just by having informal conversation. I like to leave big pauses in the conversation and let them fill it, because I find so often if you stop talking, people will tell you things like unprompted. You know what I mean? So
Or they'll
Yeah.
just be silent. Happened yesterday.
Well, and
Oh,
that
okay.
happens too, and
Let
that's
me not
okay.
talk, and then they.
I mean, and frankly, somebody who can be comfortable with that silence says something about them too. You know, like you can
Yeah.
learn something regardless of what their response is. But frankly, almost anyone can be taught to read a protocol, follow a grid. If you're building eSource, it takes a lot of the like guesswork out of it anyway, if you're doing that for them sort of more centrally. So I want somebody that like I want to work with every day
Mhm.
and that my team wants to work with every day. That goes a long ways. It's way underappreciated. Like if you're good at your job but you're an asshole, I don't care. Get out of here. You know, like I
We'll
don't want to work
unpack
with you.
that.
Yep.
We'll unpack that. What about you, Fox? What do you look
So
for when?
this is too perfect. This is very fresh. We've been talking about this a lot with a lot of site owners, and I will not claim this idea because it wasn't mine. But I don't want to say who it was in case he doesn't want me to tell him. He said the very first thing he does is he asks the potential candidate to go to the grocery store and to buy a bunch of stuff. Here's some money. Here's
Buy
50
some
bucks.
dry ice.
No, go buy stuff and fill up a shopping cart. And then he watches them. He goes to the grocery store and watches them. And he sees if that person takes the shopping cart back after they load up their car.
Ah.
So it's a really, really good true
So it's
test
just like
about
it's a
courtesy.
hidden test. Yeah.
It's a hidden test. And I don't want to say who it was, but if he ever does want to be called out, then I'll say who it is. But one of my biggest red flags when I interview are the self-entitlements. So,
Yep.
oh, I can only work Monday through Friday, only within these hours. I have to have this. And if they're so structured that you're like, yeah, there's no way you could possibly survive as a coordinator at my site, then it's like, okay, thank you very much. So flexibility just by the demands of the applicant, courtesy, honestly, chemistry. It's really important in a site because you have to maintain your culture. Interview your team members after they meet them. Don't just interview that person. You got to see how your team members get along with this person because everyone's going to have a different perspective based off of the jobs that they do. So it's a really big, comprehensive discussion to bring on the right person. I know it seems timely and it seems expensive, but it's far less than bringing on a person that is not going to do very well for your team. It only takes one toxic person to completely contaminate your culture.
One, especially when it's small.
Yeah.
I'm fresh off of like 10 interviews, and from those 10, like 3 were no-shows. They're self-filtering. 3 we offered the job. 1 actually didn't take it the next day, and which is today. And the other, what is that, 5 or so? The other 4, I think, there was something like either they were too quiet or they didn't show interest. Because I always, before they come in, we send them like our website. That's like kind of my shopping cart test. So I send them the website. I'm like, here, check this out. And then I have my guru one too. So I send them a few videos. If they don't come in talking about, like, I don't care. Oh, I subscribed. I don't want that. But if they don't come in knowing like something about either what we do, because it's on our website, I made it. I know it's on there. Or like high level things about the industry, which I send them video. Then I know, all right, they're probably too busy, but I understand that part, but they're not passionate enough to like even look at our website and see what studies we do. There was like 2 of them that had no idea. They didn't even know what Clinker Research was, which after I sent them the links. So that was my shopping cart test.
I think I texted you about this, but I had an RN come in who was a referral from one of the oncology doctors we work with. And he's like, you should interview this guy. I think he'd be great for you guys. And honestly, I was kind of on the fence, not about the guy, but about hiring an RN at this time. I was like, I don't know if we need it. But the guy came in and he's like, yeah, I looked you up. I watched the 5-hour Dan Sfera video about clinical trials. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I'm not going to tell him that because he's going to get a big head about it.
That's right.
I was like, but again, like he showed, some great
interest.
some
he's
self.
invested.
I mean, he's self-motivated, self-directed. Which how important is that? Because I don't like to micromanage. Anywhere I've been where there's micromanagers has been a terrible environment. So again, having knowing that they're coming in with that level of, they'll figure it out. And how much of what we do is like, how well can you figure it out? The answer is never really handed to you, but can you be resourceful and be self-motivated and directed enough to go figure it out? And so for me, I was like, okay, well, I mean, that kind of tilts the scale. He started last week, and doing
okay.
Yeah, doing great.
I've got a monkey wrench to throw in here. This is another dynamic I heard from some of the sites, and you might like this, but some of the sites are finding that the people who interview really well are bad employees because all they do is interview. They can't keep a job. But the ones that are kind of awkward, like, I don't know if I can read them well, it's kind of weird, awkward, they turn into the best workers. It just takes a little bit of time to get them into the groove. So then it's like, well, how much of the decision can you trust in the interview? If someone's super duper good at interviewing, it means that they probably interview too much.
Yes,
well,
I agree.
That's why I've avoided sort of the generic, questions that
Tell
get
me about
asked,
yourself
because
stuff.
I'm saying anyone can. Again, if you've interviewed, you've got something. You know how to say what your biggest weakness is, but then make it sound like a strength. Like, I don't care about. Don't come on, man. Like, I know what you're doing. Like, don't do that. It's just like, let's talk. What are you into? Tell me about something. What and then if you see something they're passionate about and how they talk about it. Again, I think I hate to say it, but it's almost like a vibe or more intuition that you get just from sitting down and talking to a person like they're a freaking person.
It's a vibe. I agree. Hire for attitude, train for aptitude. I don't know who said that. Probably a bunch of people, but I've been living by that since 05. 06 was my first employee. That's never failed me. Never. Now, and I don't define employees leaving as failing. That's the market being the market. But like, I've never had to fire someone based off of like following that rule. When I disobeyed that rule, yes.
Had to fire someone.
Yep.
So, and to everyone out there who's taking interviews and doing them, one of the telltale signs that it's a successful interview is that people actually volunteer information. And that's what I think that's good, is when you start to open up to that applicant and start sharing things that you may not have shared just as a result of the interview process, then that's a good sign that you're making a good connection. It doesn't mean you get the job.
Who needs to share? The interviewer?
No, the person who's interviewing. Like,
okay.
If you're sitting there and you start volunteering information, like, oh, this is what we do. It means that you're trying to impress the applicant. And that's the next step. So once you want to impress the applicant, that's when you start sharing things. You start expanding. You start talking about your mission and what you're doing at your organization. That's when the interviewer knows that you're interested. If it is very cut and dry, ask the questions, thank you very much, odds are it probably wasn't a very successful interview.
Yes.
Well, and I think about us though. I mean, I think we're probably different in a lot of ways. I mean, look, there's not some HR department who's putting someone through a series of psychological batteries, and then, it's just me talking to the person. Like, we are the people, spending 40 hours a week with this person. So I think there's a little bit of different.
You guys reading these comments at all?
Yeah, I know.
The comments are sick. We're gonna get to them. There's one more thing I want to bring up though. Like you said, like, I also don't do like formal interviews. There are things I notice. So I was just talking to our lead CRC about this yesterday. When you're interviewing someone, supposedly you're seeing their best version of themselves for like 10 minutes, right?
Yep.
So if you see anything that doesn't sit well with you, it's probably going to be magnified 10 times over when you actually have to deal with them. So one of the things I noticed on one particular person, and I don't care about tattoos, guys. I don't. I really, really don't. I don't have any, but I don't care. Yeah, Brad's all sleeved up. I could care less. Here's the thing, though. All right, this girl had a tattoo like right here on her neck. So it's like, that's not even a big deal. It's not even like face tat or anything. She wore a shirt that didn't cover it, where you could easily have covered it. To me, again, I could care less. But it showed a lack of judgment on her part, because how does she know that I could care less? And then that lack of judgment right there, or common sense, will not translate well into doing a study
Mm-hmm.
in many examples. So little things like that, I try to focus on, like, just this person's sounds too good, like they're probably like prepared, or this person said that, I didn't like that, let me double click on that and ask them more. Stuff like that, because you don't have many opportunities.
Yeah, that's fair. And I also think about who your who are they going to be interacting with, and is that going to be a good fit? Because they may be a great person and they may be great at their jobs, but they just may not be a good fit for your company culture, or for, I may not want to send the crazy tattooed person or someone who's wearing a suit. I don't want to send them out to my rural clinic because farmers don't want to talk to a guy in a suit. You know what I mean? Like, they want somebody who sounds, and they can like them and they can relate to. So sometimes it's a matter of, whatever the fit for that position might be as well, which can be a little more difficult to nail down sometimes.
You guys want to go through some of these comments real quick?
I'd love to. These things are great.
Right now, like, subscribe, comment, share. What are you doing? Okay. Ingrid, I'm based in South Africa. I would like to start a new site in one of the regions that doesn't have clinical research site, but have public and private hospitals closer and potential patients. Do it, Ingrid. You're going to be...
That's a
you should
big...
be on
So
this
Ingrid, I will
channel
say that is a huge targeted area. There's a lot of people trying to do that in South Africa. I have friends, I have PIs, I have sites who are doing the same ambition. And I think that's going to be a hot market. Jump on it now. Use YouTube. Dan Safara has, I don't know, years worth of content that can help you
Pump
learn
it
how to
up,
do that.
Fox. Hype man. Listen, guys, starting a site, I'm going to say this. It's amazing, okay? Like, I wouldn't do anything. Well, I would do other things later, but it's an amazing career. It's the first step is like maybe the hardest. Then it's surviving the lack of cash for like a year or two. I've just crossed that point. So you would think life is gravy now. It's not. I'm arguably more stressed now than I was on day one, because I'm having to deal with all this shit, cleaning up all this stuff, transitioning coordinators where no one knows what they're doing. So I got to be the bridge. It's like, this is the part that's challenging. You think you made it after 2 years? Oh, you're good, autopilot. No, my friend. It's just getting started.
So that's
welcome to purgatory.
Starting a site is just like getting an advanced degree, to be honest. Someone told me that a long time ago. If you are not 215% dedicated to getting that degree, turn around now. It's never going to be easy. Even after you get the degree, I don't know how many times I've heard someone say, because I made a mistake, well, I'm no doctor, but so as soon as you get that mark, you have this expectation to be, to never make a mistake. And so Ingrid, that's your shopping cart test, is you better be 300% motivated to do this. Be motivated to find the information. It's all out there. You're going to have to build your own story. Just use the information that's on the internet.
Find a PI. Welcome to the rabbit hole. Goes very deep. We're nowhere near the bottom. I think all three of us are like somewhere like in the top.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, I take calls from people like this. You guys probably do too every week. Starting the site. What do I do? I'm at a point now where I tell people, like, listen, just be extremely like cognizant of don't try to grow fast. Don't try to take on the world. Go slow. If you can manage it yourself and be, happy and make enough money, consider staying very small and manageable, because, we've expanded, we're still expanding, but with more money, more problems, the more you go, the harder it is to keep all the balls in the air, and there comes like a weird tipping point where it's like, you either got to go, it's like purgatory, you either stay small or you have to sort of crash through that plateau to get going. And that's not an easy thing. And as you guys know, it doesn't go like this.
No.
it goes like this. Okay, yeah, now we're doing great. Oh no, this sucks again. Oh, we're screwed. Okay, oh no, we're perfect. We're the biggest company in the world. Oh no, we're ruined. I quit.
Oh, don't
And,
forget
you
when
know.
you start to get on top, you have more people targeting you to try to bring you down. The parasites, the legal parasites, the
man.
ones who want to sue you, the ones who
Exactly.
think you have a bunch of money.
Well,
So
I straight up think one of my interviews was like sent by someone.
mhm.
A recon mission.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a mole.
yeah,
Yeah.
I really do. And maybe I'm paranoid. But yeah, Brad, you're exactly right. Like I could keep it small, and maybe I'd be less stressed. But I'm trying to exactly do that, crash through the plateau. And I think technology. Okay, let's do a quick shout out before the comments. Versatrile. If it wasn't for these dudes right now, and me making sure when my coordinators were there, put every link in Versatrile. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's redundant. Put it in there. We have like 30 links in the studies. Now, when I take over, I don't have to think, well, what's the IRT? Well, how do I pay patient? No, it's all in there. Boom. Here you go. So that right there is like 5 to 10 hours of like just fishing through emails, calling people. It's just click. Versatile shout out. Same thing with Creo. It's been helping me tremendously. Let's get through these comments.
There's a
Philadelphia.
lot of them, man. Hey,
Philly's
Philly.
good. What do you
Yep.
want? Alessandro's best cheesecake ever. Or a cheesesteak, sorry.
Cheesesteak. Yep.
Yeah, best. Philly, look, avoid universities. I tell you guys, avoid the university. Go to small sites. You never heard of it. Well, how do I find a site if I never heard of it? There's a thing called Google.
Start looking.
Guys. There's a thing called networking. All right. Frank, Ingrid, get a PI. That's number one. I'm looking for internship currently. Hightower Research, I hear, is hiring.
Shoot me a message. We'll talk.
And I'm looking for a clinical research coordinator job. Brad is
Yep.
your guy.
Maybe if you're in Dallas or in rural Arkansas, then you should talk to me because there could be some opportunities here pretty fast.
Shoot,
Hint.
I could see. Rural Arkansas, I feel like you're me and Yuma, just doing what you got to do with the ingredients you have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dallas, there's a big ACRP following too, Brad. We'll get you hooked up with them.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be hard to find some help.
Yeah, Dallas is that. Yeah, there's a lot of people out in Dallas. Go getters. I would love to shadow any mentor, but in the EU, I feel they give zero opportunity for juniors. Forget about finding a prestigious mentor. Find people on LinkedIn. That's like normal people, right? They will help you. Remember, when you want a mentor, you got to also like think, well, what's in it for them too? Like make it worth their while.
This industry is a great place to where you are not a junior for very long, and that's it within your court to fix. There's so much information out there. Every day, watch a YouTube video. You don't have to binge, but every day learn something, write it down, and eventually you're not going to be a junior. People are going to start looking up to you. So don't.
I think it's crazy how much LinkedIn has evolved.
Yeah.
In sort of our space, because I mean, there's still a lot of like marketing and bullshit, and people just sort of self-congratulating themselves over dumb things
memes.
that aren't
we got
real.
Memes all over.
Beyond thrilled.
Right. But I mean, we're actually seeing a lot of truly useful content and people engaging in like real conversations, and not just, again, not just like
just patting each other on the backs.
Yeah. Right. So I think
and ignoring the problems.
If you know how to get in there and engage, I think it can be a great shortcut. Frankly, look, I'm still tell people, like, I'm an introvert. I don't like to approach people. I'm sort of awkward oftentimes in conversations. So like, it took me a long time to sort of build that muscle to just start talking to people. And now hell, I talk to too many people. I'm sick of it. But nonetheless, it's extremely valuable. And look, I can't tell you how many people I talked to. I had a partner in the beginning who was like, why do you spend all your time talking to all these people? It seems pointless. And then when a year and a half has passed and somebody circled back and said, hey, man, we had a great conversation. Now I'm helping identify sites for a study. Let's talk. I'm like, that's it, man. This stuff comes back to you. If you just have conversations, try to provide value, don't try to beg everyone for stuff, just
Mhm.
engage meaningfully, a lot
Yep.
comes back to you in that process. And it's a long game. It's not going to happen tomorrow, probably. It could, but it's very likely over time you're going to develop a
You have
very
to
deep
like
network.
you have to like it for the sport of doing that.
Yeah,
It is. It's like playing poker. Like
It is.
you don't go all in on your first hand. You may play for 12 hours before you get a great
Yep.
hand, and then you can play it, but you got to be patient. You got to be patient, and you got to want to work the system a little bit.
So I just got a message from someone. They said, "Hey, I've been following you for 18 months. I believe in everything you said. I was a CRC when I started. I'm now working at a big sponsor, one of the big global sponsors. What can I do to help you?"
No, give us
And
studies. Easy. Give us
yeah,
studies.
studies, SOS, all everything else,
SOS.
CRPN. So
We need a sponsor at SOS. We have sponsors. We need
yeah,
a sponsor.
still looking for that sponsor. Sponsors want to join in, man. It's turned into a really good conversation. We'll just say that. And it's not like the whole CRO bashing, industry bashing, site complaining kind of a thing. This is some pretty
Well,
legitimate conversation.
And if you think about it, it's in sponsors' best interest, maybe even CROs, for us to have this conversation. Like, how do you nurture a coordinator? Because what we're doing is feeding the ecosystem. Like,
Mhm.
okay,
What can we do to enhance your future employees? Because
yeah,
they're coming from us.
yeah, my CRC now might be your employee in a year or two. So this you have a vested interest, and then if you have a relationship with the site, like I don't know if any sponsors do this with sites. Like, hey, we have a program where any employees that are thinking about leaving, like we'll take them on. In exchange, you get
Mhm.
like some resources from us, studies here and there. I don't know if that would be like maybe not a bad idea.
So keep on
CROs
these
too.
comments, man. There's a lot of them.
These comments, man. Don't be an asshole.
What's
You
up?
know,
What's up, Kylie?
Kylie, you hit the nail on the head with that one. My question is, would CRO and US ever give a chance for juniors coming from EU? Yes. I've
Yep.
interviewed people on the show, like have done this. Exactly. Ingrid, precisely. See, I think people are agreeing
Mhm.
with you, Fox. Like uh San Fran's interesting market.
Hey,
You gotta go to
okay,
biotech.
so well, we'll see some Chicago's. The Chicago people. So just so you
Chicago.
know, I'm in Illinois. I know for a fact that we are currently forming an Illinois Society for Clinical Research Sites right here in Illinois, and it's going to be based in Chicago. So if you're looking in the Illinois area, there's a lot of opportunity in the Chicago area. There's a huge initiative to grow research in that area. So just remember that. Look
There is.
around, talk to your other clinical research sites. We're all coming together.
Frank says, I'm looking to get my foot in the door in clinical research. I live in Baltimore and I know that I'm a team player. You may know, but how do the sites know? How does Brad in Maryland know? If there is a Brad, Brad's a one of one, but there is somebody in Maryland that owns a site that you don't know and they don't know you. Okay, passion, willingness to learn, careers.innovative. Man, joy with the guys, you can network in the comments. This is what it's about. It's better than anything else that you
Yeah,
can
make
go
friends
for.
in the comments. I mean, I feel like
The
a
whole
lot
point.
can
Let's all
come
come
from
together.
that alone.
And imagine what SOS would do if this isn't a round table. Imagine what you do at the conference.
Fox is like on it today. Critical thinking, exactly right. Like the tattoo thing doesn't escape me. Like I don't even care about tats, guys, but the fact that you didn't cover it up when it's so easy to do just got me thinking, what are you gonna do with the EDC then? Okay. Von Tree says, my team once interviewed and hired someone for a coordinator position who doesn't believe in medicine. I now interview and hire directly, as you should.
Smart. It only takes one.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That now I'll say it. We did have anti-vax coordinators, and that was hard. That was weird during the
But
COVID
that's like
pandemic.
50-50 of the country.
Yeah.
And I have PIs and sub-Is whose first line of defense for a patient is not medication. It's like, hey, how do we work on your lifestyle?
Holistic.
That's commendable.
Yep.
That's commendable, but they're not anti-medicine. I mean, at the end of the day, they're doctors.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. There's spectrums of this too. Sitting down and talking to a person like they're a person, this should be standard part of the interview process. I know, I agree. The problem is I'm not getting an interview.
That's tricky. Now, I wrote a book on that, right? So
Oh yeah, I have it.
yeah, I wrote a book on that, and I get it. It's frustrating, but remember, there's one thing you can't control for a job application, and that is who else applied for it. I can tell you it is really competitive right now. And just because you don't get an interview doesn't mean that it's your fault. It could be. Yeah, I mean, you may want to look at that. There's things you could do to improve to be the better candidate. But you can't take it personally. You just can't. And that's really, I mean, if it didn't work, it didn't work. So just go on to the next one.
Live like a career cowboy. How to successfully navigate the great professional frontier. You're a real cowboy, Fox. And then
That was before a beard. Right?
this is Baby Fox, right?
Baby
here.
Fox. Yeah.
Baby Fox, go.
Oh God.
All right.
No.
Brad Hightower, to your point, hiring a phlebotomist. This is my second hire, guys. I thank you, Brad, for like the validation, and also you, Kartikeya. It's the way to go. Thank you. I needed like to hear this. They already know how to interact with patients and the basics, how to do the job. The rest is good training.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much carryover, I think, from that role. I mean, I was working in a plasma center, but I mean, our documentation practices were pretty much the same in terms of, just good documentation. You interact, you do have to interact with patients in a way that you're going to jam a needle in their arm, so you need to know how to make friends with them, right?
It has to be very timely, right?
It's quite intimate. It's quite an intimate relationship.
It honestly is. And you have people coming in who only want you to stick them every week, and it really learn how to develop that with all kinds of different people, which is again one of those things that is difficult to train unless you've just done it and been able to figure it out. I mean, two of my last 3 hires were phlebotomists, and they've been great. We just enrolled 1,000 patients in a trial because of these phlebotomists.
It's a lot of blood.
All I'm going to say is we're going to have a meeting with someone. There is an organization who has a goal to make a 1 million patient enrollment on one of their projects. And I think that we're going to be talking with them. So
they're going to get met one-on-one by Fauci at their site. Brad, when's the last time you drew blood?
I drew blood yesterday.
Okay, Brad Hunt, keeping the steel sharp.
I came in. It was a missed stick. So a lot of times when somebody misses one, they just come get me.
I'm like the boss. You're like
Bowser from Mario.
You're like the big guns over here.
I'm the phlebotomy troubleshooter. You got hard veins. They come and get me.
So Brad, see, the 3 of us were operators. This is not just talking heads. So this is what Save Our Site's going to be about. Like you're getting solutions from people dealing with things today, yesterday, the day before. Amazing. Okay. These comments are good. Many managers I work with are only looking for previous experience.
Yep.
I don't like that strategy, at least for my type of site, and maybe all 3 of you guys, same thing. What do you think about this?
I mean, go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's the safe move. Most of the time, managers who are looking like that are not desperate, so they don't have to do that. I'm more of that give people a chance person. Honestly, the people that are given the chance, they're more loyal. They're more invested into what you're doing. If you're just checking a box, you're saying I was here at Harvard for 5 years or whatever it might be. They're basing it off of their credentials, not off of their desire to be at your organization.
Well, I think you need to find an organization that values something other than experience, And again, I mean, honestly, I'm weary of hiring people with a lot of experience because I know that it's been at a site that has a completely different culture than mine. And
it's hard to change.
They're going to walk in and try to do things like they did. And I'm going to say, nah, like we don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't do it this way.
Nah, fam.
If I look at it, a resume or CV, and I see that someone spent like 20 years in an academic medical institution as a CRC, honestly, it's kind of a red flag.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if you stick around academia too long, you're not motivated to be better. You're just there to collect a paycheck and move on. And that's what happens a lot at AMCs. I don't see AMCs being a long-term track.
I feel like it's a whole different incentive model, and I've seen this even in places that aren't academic, because ultimately you get paid the same if you enroll 0 patients or 1,000 patients. You're going to get your 3 to 5%.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, it's in your best interest to not enroll any patients, because you're not going to get in trouble. You got less work to do.
Yep.
PI is not going to be up your ass about every little thing. So I'd see coordinators in these places like go out of their way to find like an obscure
Yeah.
passage in somebody's medical record that's like, oh, they weren't compliant with a drug like 10 years ago, so I don't think they're going to be compliant in the study, so we shouldn't enroll them. And I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Why are you going? Like, if you worked this hard to enroll patients as you do to disqualify them, like, we would be millionaires. You know, like, what are you doing?
We have to fight. One of the things I'm doing, getting my hands dirty, I'm literally fighting for every patient to get randomized. Like,
Yeah.
I have to fight.
Yeah.
I could easily go the other way. Oh, screen fell for like exclusion number 18. But no, look under the hood. No. Let's get a waiver. Let's talk to medical monitor. What do you think? Okay, clinician, as long as clinician documents this, you're good. But who's doing that at AMC? And so there's something that you said, Dr. Fox, if you're desperate. And I think the three of us, we're the site owners and the people hiring. So we're the managers and the owners. You're not going to find a diamond in the rough hiring someone safe. You will find a diamond in the rough hiring someone with potential and training them, because it's risky, like you said.
Mhm.
And at these sites, this is why this VC thing is like interesting to me, how it's going to play out.
Mhm.
When you instill a manager, they're incentivized not necessarily to take risks, but to protect what you have already.
Mhm.
You start getting these complacent type of people coming in. Oh, let me push this paper an inch to the right. My day is done. As opposed, but they're not messing up. They're not messing up either.
Nope. As written. Duties
So
But,
there's
as
you know,
something
written.
there.
I went through like the Glassdoor. I like to go through Glassdoor reviews because I find them hilarious.
Love that. Do you pay for that though?
No, I think you just have to put in a review
Okay.
somewhere and then you get access, I think.
Okay.
But I like to go through and I like to read, and then, you know, I've seen a lot of other talk, and a lot of these bigger companies you guys are well familiar with, we've talked about, we've probably clowned on to different instances, but they would be like, I went through the whole interview process and I never talked to a single person who knew clinical trials. You know, even like the COO doesn't know how a clinical trial
Wow.
works, which, you know, debatably, maybe that's fine in some regards, but like, you know, how again, you've got too much of a disconnect, and then they hire a person and they move down the path. They're not their problem anymore. It's someone else's problem to deal with. And then who's going to give a shit about that? Right. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
they just pass the buck. And again, you have no cohesion in what's going on.
I can see, and this is early on, but I can see when the quality as a result of private equity owned sites dwindles because of what Dan was talking about, the complacency. I can see that being on feasibilities. It'll be on a feasibility. Is your site owned by private equity? And that could either be a plus or a minus.
But
Yeah,
then you
we'll
can
see how
play
it
with
goes.
those.
Until IQVIA buys them, and then
Yeah, and then it's just, just
just
another
award
network.
themselves their studies.
Is your site owned by hedge funds? Okay, this one. Dan, what about if the mark is from surgery, not tattoo? This was not surgery. I know. Come on. It was like
Yeah.
a snake. Like, you can cover it, right? And surgery, people know if a mark is from. I'm talking a tattoo, like
Mhm.
Brad's
Hey,
arm, right?
Maybe it was a test on her part to be like, you know, this is who I am. I want to work in a place that's
So
cool.
colored hair does that.
be,
People
could
come
be.
in with colored hair and they'll be like, we'll see how they treat me. And it's how I, if they treat me differently because I have colored hair, like pink, purple, the
It's
crazy hairs,
not a place they want to
maybe
work.
it's
if
something I
that's
don't
the
want to work
case,
at.
but I
Right.
get what you're saying. At least in your first.
You
Your
had
first-
the option. You
Yeah,
had the
yeah.
option to wear a normal shirt or a shirt that shows the tattoo. And you chose option A or option B. So you don't know who's interviewing you. Like, do you really want the job? You're gonna try to think it through, maybe, right? That was my thinking. I actually could care less about tattoos, guys. I feel like excellent customer service and actually witnessing this with potential new hires is huge. If you're willing to do what's needed and whatever is needed for a customer, patient, stakeholder. Yeah, exactly what we're talking.
Yes,
And this is like
spot on.
anti-AMC. There's a few angels that work at these AMCs. You know who you are. You guys are saints, right?
Mhm.
Especially in these
Well, you
cancer
keep it
departments.
together. You keep it going.
Yeah, especially in these cancer departments where they're just like, you know what? F the regime. I'm here to like help this patient out. There's people like that. And God bless you guys. First of all, big thank you. It's free info. It's all free,
Testimony,
guys.
man.
Free
It's a
99.
testimony.
I commented on one of your posts about not getting called back. You replied, wow, I did. That's amazing. And follow your advice. Not only land a call back, I have an offer. Now my dilemma. The employer wants to start me at 17 an hour. He also wants me to sign a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
I'm with this owner until after this comma. 17 an hour. Because I do basically the same thing. I don't do the rest of this. Right? I hope my strategy is that 17 is gonna within 3-6 months gonna be a lot more and a lot more after that, and you're gonna stay. But that's my escape hatch for you if you're not good. Like, hey, go out. But I'm not locking people into 3-year contracts.
Yeah, this is not
any of
indentured
that.
servitude, man. Everything's
Yeah.
at will, and if you do a non-compete, then you better really be careful with what you sign, especially 3 years. A lot can happen in 3 years.
But be
And
careful with look in your state, Nika. Look in your state. It wouldn't hurt to talk to an attorney. Like a lot of these things are not enforceable. They're just scare tactics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah,
why
that's
job
insane for
seekers need to come
$17
save
an
our
hour.
sites. It's exactly.
That's
But
almost minimum wage, isn't it?
this shameless plug for us, saveoursites.com. This is why we made saveoursites.com so affordable. It's not just for the sites, for the people like you to meet site owners that don't think like this. Brad, what were you gonna say? 17 hour?
That's
I mean,
crazy.
it seems insane to lock somebody in for 3 years. Like that's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna pay me 6 figures, yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about it. Maybe I'll commit to 3 years, but at $17 an hour, that seems
That's predatory.
a lot to ask. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. That's that site owner's defense for what we're talking about. Like,
Mhm.
how
Yeah,
do
but
you-
it's almost has like the opposite effect because I'm gonna be like, hell no, I'm not doing that. You're gonna scare away anybody who's worth having.
but there's
You know?
people that do it though.
Right? That must be true. It must work for him if he's doing it. So
And I doubt he's gonna actually enforce it. It costs 6 figures to go to court.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a scare tactic. No one's taking you to court and paying a lawyer $100,000 to fight you for your 17 an hour 3-year contract.
right.
Like, think about it. Think it through. I would take it and then leave whenever you want. But hey, not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. Okay.
Nope.
Get at Darshan Kulkarni. I'm not responsible for your shit. Thoughts of starting a site? Opera, nothing minimum. Let's go. Get these patients. What are you talking about, man? Don't think about that.
Yeah, you can go standalone. I feel like standalone might be coming. I mean, do you guys think it's becoming less popular?
I think you can have standalone. You need to be attached to, like, at least philosophically, to a private practice somehow.
You need affiliations.
I guess
think standalone's-
relationships. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be physically in the same proximity, but having a strong relationship, I guess, or many,
Yeah.
obviously.
The hobby departments there's still hobby departments all around here. Token, partnership, physician practice that wants to do research, keep up some credentials. And so they have a hobby department, but it's not very comprehensive. It's only, you're lucky to get a trial based off of whatever physician is there based off of their interest if they want to do research. It's just, there's so many ifs.
You need an answer to the sponsor's question. How will you get us patients when we have 50 exclusion criteria? And by the way, make it diverse too.
Mm-hmm.
You need an answer to that.
Show me your diversity plan.
If you can do that through advertising, hats off to you. I need to network with you and figure out how you're doing it. And there's some sponsors for SOS that say they can do that. Hit us up. For entry level clinical research, large CRO pharma seek candidates with several years. Many smaller boutique CROs and sites are open to hiring brand new passion. Exactly right. Brad getting the shout out. CRA is a great resource for identifying some stellar CRCs whom they have worked with on past studies.
Yep, that's a
I hear
good.
you. I
Yeah,
hear you. I still won't
actually,
hire like experienced
the
CRC.
global CRO sent a mass burst out to every site on a trial that says, "Are you looking to be our CRA? Call us." So they were utilizing,
Serious?
yeah, they were utilizing their entire site network as the CRO of a study.
Who is
To
it? You got to name the CRO.
I don't want to get them in trouble.
If you didn't bankrupt their pack score after that, Fox, I don't have trust in your system, man.
Just
Honestly, they're
just
not
blink
the
it in
worst.
Morse code. Blink it, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Well, let's just say that there's 4 letters and it's not an acronym.
We're all trying to figure.
That's okay. You go.
Man, that's terrible. If I saw that, I would like talk to some
Flip
like,
over. Yeah. The
higher
director was
up.
like, "Why are you sending this to my coordinators?" "Well, we really need CRAs." "I need coordinators." "What are you talking about?" Yeah. So anyway, they do it. There are strategies to try to pull coordinators off of sites from global pharma,
Wow.
global CROs.
That to me that sounded like a conspiracy theory. Like I thought of
Should have
that's
saved the email.
possible. Wow. Yeah, we need to post that one. Look at this. If you're looking for an internship and you're in Chicago, this is where the comments. This is why you wake up to do this, guys. All right.
So you're gonna love. I've got a site that is moving to Chicago right now, starting a brand new site, and that's just one example of I may have sites that could be looking for coordinators. No guarantee, because I can't speak for them, but I can say the potential's there.
Well, if you're listening on the podcast, if you're looking for an internship and you're in Chicago, call 312-823-6800.
Man, you need your radio voice, man.
Yeah, Brad. That's Brad, man. I can't do. Brad's got that nighttime cruising lowrider oldies voice. That Brad's the one for that. Real business relationship. Brad, can you read out if you're in Chicago? Read out this number in your best radio voice. Let's go.
Hold on, let me get into character here. All right. You got to put it on for radio voice,
Yeah.
If you're in Chicago, call 312-823-6800.
There you go.
You're hired. You're hired.
We'll send you the invoice later.
You ever done radio advertisements for your trials, Brad?
I have, yeah. I've voiced them over myself on occasion.
Don't blame you. Who's going to be better than you?
Fun.
Real business relationships. All right, I know you guys got to go soon. Let's go through some of these comments. Man, we got a bunch of comments. Oh my gosh. What are you all doing to attract talent from underserved, underrepresented groups?
Ooh. Oh, that's a podcast.
Especially challenging.
That's a passion of mine. We could talk about that a long time, man.
I mean, I don't know about you guys though, but I mean, I've had relationships or made relationships with different African American physicians in our community, and so I mean, work with them, talk to them. They know people too, so and especially like if I want to have a coordinator serving that community, I want them to be a part of that community. This is what we could be dealing with shortly, like in rural Arkansas. It's like a 78% African American community.
Yeah.
Well, I'm probably not going to hire a white guy, like I want somebody who
3 out of 10, maybe
a part of that community.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of it is just, again, making those relationships in the first place. And then actually, I mean, giving a shit enough to follow up on them and make them a reality. And look, I'll be honest, like we've not done as good of a job as I would like to, but I think that's something that I would like to focus on as, the year kind of closes out here and get better at.
Fox?
I have national organizations that I'm working with right now with IMGs, people who need sponsors to stay in the country. They're just looking for opportunities to get their experience. We're working with sites to place them just to try to keep them in the country. You have to focus on language. Language is key. If everyone in your site speaks English and you're trying to attract diversity, you're doing it wrong. Have them be bilingual. Buy Duolingo. Let people learn the language. I mean, there's so many things that you can do, but you have to understand the needs of our community.
Right.
That's number one, because every community has a different need. which is also why you will never be able to scale up the need for diversity. You're going to have to hone in on the community relationships.
As for me, we're in a border town, so it's like by default. You don't really have to try to do anything. It just it happens. Like
Just there, yeah.
yeah, I'm almost like all my no, not all. 70% of my staff's bilingual. Like it's I don't have to try much to do that. Here's someone free, Brad. I remember you. Oh, beyond you. 2022 CRA Academy internship in Dallas. All right, Brad said already.
There you go.
Like, you just hit him up.
All right, shoot me a message.
Nelson, man, what Clubhouse legend? What happened to Clubhouse? It's gone.
They're
Nelson,
just
you
off-
had your
they're off for
window
the
for
summer.
like there. Nelson was killing Clubhouse. I made friends by using the Sunshine Act. All right, I may have to stop reading the rest of this. I don't get what you're saying. I made friends by using the Sunshine Act to find sites that made the most money. I love Nelson, man. Then whenever I was in a different city, I would cold call those high revenue sites to ask for a tour.
Man, Nelson,
Roughly-
you're like that
I don't know if
ghost that
he's
can
just trolling
navigate
us.
through everything, man. I love it. Great ideas.
This is actually maybe legit or he's trolling. I don't know which one.
No,
it is.
everything I know about him is that's totally legit. He's
Nelson,
got
that's
some of
insane.
he's got some of the most like really subversive techniques to some of the stuff that I love now.
I
So
like it. I like it. Respect. You got to come to SOS, man. We got to like have a drink or something. Talk about some of these ways to hack the Sunshine Act to fix our website or The experience to me equal bad habits. I
Yep.
recently. Oh, thank you. Is there a website which lists all sites?
No. You know
nothing's
why?
Easy. Nothing's
Do you know
easy.
why? It's too volatile. There's no way a website could possibly keep up for this. There's a site popping up on the corner of everything. It's worse than some of the retail stores we know.
Plus, the fact that it's hard is your barrier of entry. If it was easy, you'd have so much more competition going after these sites. I choose a non-asshole blank slate over an experienced CRC with 10 years of bad habits all day long.
Go, Kylie.
Exactly what Brad said. Us as site owners, we're trying to extend our lives as long as possible, and we don't want people that are going to take years off of our lives. Man, thank you guys for doing this. This is like going way longer than I thought. You guys still have some time or what?
I have time. I'm good. Which
Yeah,
actually,
I got a little bit.
for someone who was asking about sites in Ohio, guess what I'm interviewing with in like an hour? A site in Ohio. They want to talk about joining CRPN. So I mean, I can tell you, there's sites
Everywhere, yeah.
There's sites
Let's read this
everywhere.
one. RN for 20 years, 10 to 15 years chemo infusion, unblinded pharmacist for 3 years, monitored unblinded staff, all the logs. What would you advise for my next step? I'm searching for a new position. I would love to be an unblinded CRA. Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. There's
Follow your passion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Matter of fact,
You got
if
it.
someone's watching right now from a CRO, I know, are CROs still hiring?
Yeah. Hey, Rebecca, call a CRO called Cytero. Okay.
Ah,
Call Cytero.
I just saw a bunch of, and I don't know, this is just hearsay, so bear with me here. But I mean, Icon and MedPace both did some layoffs over the last like couple of days, I believe.
Did you see
on some of their...
Fortrea or the new LabCorp one just announced layoffs?
Yeah, so it feels like there's been a little bit of a wave.
Maybe it's their redundancy, like they're when they were, I don't know what's going on, but
who are they laying off though? It's not CRAs.
I don't know. I
think there's been some CRAs, and I know that a lot of these guys are moving a lot of their in-house roles like overseas and sort of offshoring some of that.
That's a trend.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is just
getting thrown
a few comments I've seen that there have been some layoffs over this last week. I think with actual CRAs, and again, I take that with a grain of salt. I'm no Walter Cronkite, but it's just what I've seen.
So see, so CROs kind of have a vision of what's happening in the next 18 months based off of how they submit RFPs. So maybe there's a shrinkage in RFPs. We don't know. It could be that revenge research as a result of COVID is ending. It could be that we're finally seeing the deflation of research after a 100-year pandemic. We're not
But then
sure,
why
but
are
that
sites so busy? It's just like a lagging indicator or what?
yes, exactly. So, what we're working on right now are what CROs processed 18 months ago in RFPs.
Okay. So 18 months from now, if we see a downtrend in studies,
You'll see why CROs are laying off right now.
yeah. Okay.
There's an 18-month lag between what sites experience and what CROs are getting awarded.
So our 2025 SOS will talk about this if it does materialize.
Yep.
Maybe it's just temporary.
Well, keep in mind, healthcare integration, I'm going to preach it still. It's going to happen. And by 2025, odds are you're going to have things like that happening. So I think sites will be fine. They'll be insulated, especially because trials are going to become more efficient. And one way or the other, sites are going to have 2 years of work. Doesn't matter. CROs, we'll see. You've got eSource coming in. You've got all of these other things coming in. The data managers may not be needed anymore. So there could be a bunch of, now this is off topic. I like getting back to the employees and helping people.
Kalen, I knew this was coming. All right, you guys be ready to defend. Stand your ground. Hold tight, gentlemen. Don't acquiesce. Interesting take on AMCs. I work for an AMC to make clinical impact and multi-community impact within the city. May be an anomaly, but AMCs have pathways and other connective roads to the public community that non-AMC sites may not have.
Perfect story for you, Caleb. Perfect. That right there is the exact reason why AMCs are the problem. And this is why. I worked at a private physician organization. We tried to work with AMCs, and they held this holier than thou, we're in it for the right reason kind of an explanation. And they looked down on the private sites because the private sites actually needed money to do the job, and the AMCs got state money. So this whole, I'm in here for the community, I agree. Thank you for your service. But that doesn't mean that private sites are evil.
There's angels that work in these places. Saints.
Yeah, no doubt. It's certainly, you have to understand. I mean, there's certainly nuance to what we're saying. We're not. Sometimes we generalize broadly. At least
it's
I
not
do. I oftentimes generalize broadly, but and I mean,
honestly,
although I mean, if anything, though, I think he's not wrong. He or she is not wrong. Like, there are potentially some advantages that AMCs may have. I think part of the problem is that they don't utilize them in a meaningful way so often because of various reasons. But again, not always the case. Of course, not always the case. I mean,
okay, so you've got this perfect storm of complacency and turnover at an AMC, right? People who come in for an education, they want to get in and get out, or they live off state funds. They're not motivated to do anything. It's an easy, cushy job. I'm not saying cushy. Please don't be mad at me for that. And Kaylin, the one thing I can say is those few angels out there at the AMCs are the only reason that things get done.
Well, then a lot of them do move on once a better opportunity comes along.
Here's the CRO. Someone solved the riddle. I've been thinking about it forever. Icon.
I cannot confirm or deny.
I cannot confirm.
I cannot confirm or deny.
Nelson, you can solely advertise without dealing with a medical practice. It's just rare amongst sites.
So I just texted Nelson about this because I want to talk to him about it. But I know this is a big strategy for what he does. Is like, from what I understand, and please, Nelson, tell me I'm an idiot, but I believe he does very highly targeted and fairly pricey advertising spends, but the return is insane. It works so well, which I could see. I haven't been able to figure out that equation yet. So
yeah,
you better text me back, Nelson.
I think your advertiser may be looking at being a sponsor for SOS. We'll see how that goes.
So let's get him.
Yep.
Perfect radio voice. Reach out to community-run organizations as well. Quality for U.S. overall has fallen. It's really a big issue. Sites and CRA quality for the U.S. Dr. Fox, could you share some unique insights derived from the CRC survey results about issues related to retention and recruitment?
Awesome, Kelvin. Great. A couple nuggets that we're seeing is the average age of the CRC and a correlation between the age and the satisfaction. And also in the comments given, multiple times, I am so glad you're doing this survey. It's about time.
What's the average age?
32.
32.
32. Of course, there's a huge variance.
Well, of course, yeah. Cool. Brad, they're already pitching. Brad, you guys get just message Brad. You know?
Yeah, just shoot me a message. We'll talk it out.
Citero, this is the
Yep.
name of it, Rebecca.
Mhm.
That's the name right there. Sitero. I've never worked with them in any capacity. Recession has caused many research budgets to be slashed, so backlog
This is very
shrinking.
true. There's a huge trend right now in the negotiations. Sponsors are trying to rein it in. And I won't lie, guys, you're probably going to see more pushback than you ever have.
Nelson says he does all his hiring the way the AMCs do it. Summer school job boards require some planning on the site side, but we think these are the best candidates. Smart strategy, Nelson. I've tried this in Orange County and Yuma. We have a junior college. I haven't done it there yet. No argument or negative outlook on private sites at all. Just providing. Yeah, I
Yep.
know, Kalen. I was
Again.
expecting a fight, and I
Back
I
and
would
forth,
want-
man.
yeah.
Back and forth. And I agree. I see both sides. And I've been on both sides. I understand completely. I was just coming from me. I was at an AMC and then I went to private, and it was just shocking to me how the people I thought were friends just treated me like a complete traitor. It was really weird. Really weird.
Yeah, I started out AMC as well.
Edie says AMCs often leave a ton of capacity and prowess wasted on the table because of inefficient processes or leadership.
Yep.
That's right.
And I think those are manufactured, Edie. I really do. There's reasons for that.
I think that's it, guys, for the comments. You know, there's a lot
Yeah.
more. We can do this all day. We need saveoursites.com, guys. If you don't look, September 15th, we're not playing around. It's gonna go from $150 a ticket to $250.
Yep.
It's already automated. I don't need to do anything. I could forget. All right.
Yep.
And it
You
will
know,
happen.
Friday the 13th, October, right? Scary time, especially scary if you thought you wanted to be a sponsor for SOS and you chose not to. It's over. There's a reason
Spooky.
why. We've got a lot of plans for our sponsors. We've got months of promotion for our sponsors, and October 13th is the cutoff line. So if you're a sponsor and you want to do it, you got a month. You got
Yeah, sponsor, CRO. Instead of mass emailing sites to get their coordinators, just come to SOS. Do it the right way.
Yeah, come talk to the coordinators who want to talk to you. Stop poaching.
I didn't know they do that, man. That's disturbing to me. Icon. That's a shame. Shame, guys.
I cannot tell you that.
All right, guys. Anything else? Last thoughts? Or I know we gotta go. I gotta go.
Versatile
back in the trenches.
CRPN, CRC study. Take the SOS agenda poll if you want to vote to see what we're talking about. What other conference does that? What other conference says, what do you want to talk about? We will provide you the environment, the speakership, everything that you need to get something done. So we need your engagement. This is your conference.
Brad,
That's it.
Yeah, just everybody keep on grinding out there.
have a good one, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Go follow everyone on here and in the comments. Bye-bye.